hey there, all you funny jerks, come talk to Dan about your work. Tell him all about your worst times. It's the art of bombing.
My grandfather died in World War II fighting the Japanese in the Pacific in the Philippines. He survived the fall of the Manila, the fall of the Philippines. There's a famous horrible event called the Bataan Death March. The Philippines, when the Americans surrendered to the Japanese, 22,000 Americans surrendered. They marched them 75 miles through the jungle. And if you couldn't keep up, they bayoneted you. If you mouthed off, they shot you. If you ran over to try to get some water, they cut your head off.
Oh,
so it's called
geez.
the Death March because 10,000 Americans died during it.
Oh, wow. I guess
At
I'm
the
not familiar
end-
with that.
At the end of it, they put the survivors in 3 different prisoner of war camps. Maybe 5 years ago, there was a movie called The Great Raid about American soldiers going behind the lines and freeing the prisoners in one of the prisoner of war camps. At any rate, that was the one next to where my grandfather was. My mother got 2 letters from the prisoner of war camp and never heard from him again. 2 years after the war, she got a telegram from the Department of Defense saying, your father died, missing in action. We don't know anything. 44 years later, I'm telling jokes in the Philippines to American troops.
Wow.
We were there for a month in the Philippines, and because there's so many bases and so many different places to do shows for isolated military. The last show was at the Presidential Palace in Manila called Malacang Palace for Ferdinand and Imelda Marcos. Remember that name?
I don't think so.
The wife of the president was starving people so she could have a 2,000 set of shoes closet.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
At any rate, we do the show. He comes over to me in the diplomatic line later and says, hey, you were very funny. I liked your cat jokes. Can I do anything for you? Out of the pocket comes a picture of Grandpa. His name, Colonel Van Frederick Houston, United States Army. He blanches at me for a second, calls a general over. The general called a captain over. The captain called a lieutenant over. And the lieutenant and I started working. Within a week, I found my grandfather's grave.
Wow, that's amazing.
The greatest thing that's ever happened to me in my life, much less in comedy. And all because I was on the other side of the world telling jokes.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I got back to America in time before my grandmother, his wife, died, and was able to show her the monument to his unit and his name as the commander. I got to my mother, his daughter, and was able to show her what happened to her daddy in World War II. Because I was on the other side of the world telling jokes.
That's
Thank
amazing.
you, Mitzi. Thank you,
Wow.
Comedy Soul.